we have the same rules applying to everyone, every school, every people, same rules apply. CEGEPs and universities are not temple or church or those kind of places. The fact that we gave 3 years shows that we want the reflection to be done. They have the time to understand what's in the law and then decide what's better for them and what's better for the community.
That's Jean-François Roberge trying to explain the new secularism law that comes into effect now, which bans prayer rooms, among other things. And, of course, we talked about this the other day. Everything else for anybody who works in a school, any kind, including in a daycare center, by the way, as to what they can or can't do or what they can and can't serve as food. You name it, it's in there. James Mennie is on the line over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, I'm more intrigued by this whole, we're giving you 3 years to figure this out. What does that mean?
Well, my interpretation is we're giving you 3 years to figure out how to get out of Quebec is what we're doing. Okay. We're going to let you, it's like, and I've said this about their laws, whether it's Bill 21 or Bill 96, the sort of implicit message is, wouldn't you be happier living someplace else? Parce que c'est comme ça qu'on vit au Québec. But the fact of the matter is, if you take a look at that law, it's just more of the same. It's more red meat to the CAQ's base, and they need it, and I'll be getting to that in a bit. Because the CAQ, believe it or not, is in trouble so across the board. C'est même pas drôle. And the thing is, they got nothing there. And we know they've got nothing. We come on this show every day, and every single law, whether it's, the Bill 2, the much vaunted, revision of how doctors are paid, and we want to make sure that Quebecers get access to blah, blah, but then we're going to start a fight with every single doctor in Quebec, and a couple of hundred are going to, no, you know what, we're going to get Dubé out of there, and Legault's going to take over, and we're going to start from square one. We're going to get back to basics and try and fix that. And then there's Bill 3, of course, which was we're going to get those unions back in, they're not going to hold us hostage anymore, and we're going to show them, and then after one tumultuous session of a legislative committee hearing on Bill 3, and here's Jean Boulet going, well, everyone take a deep breath now. We're going to, try and calm down. But this is the problem, because when they go up against groups, how can I put this delicately, that can push back harder than Muslim women, okay? They tend to chicken out. Their bowels turn to water, and they say, "Oh no, let's be reasonable. But here they think, at least they think, that they have found a cause that's going to resonate with the base out in the regions where they have literally seen more moose walking down the main street than they have Muslims, and then this will save the furniture, as we say in these parts. Although I'm going to be talking to you in a bit about a poll that shows that is no longer the case, that in fact they're in huge trouble everywhere across the board. But once again, and I cannot stress this enough, Aaron, the fact is this normalization of this, the fact that people are looking at this, the fact that now is notwithstanding clause, automatic, it's normal in Quebec. C'est comme ça qu'on vit au Québec. We trample on your rights, and we make sure that we keep you from going to the courts to redress that with the notwithstanding clause. The same thing with the ominously named, Bill 1, the Bill of Bills, the Quebec Constitution, which essentially creates a society where dissent against the government of the day is illegal. Well, unless, of course, you want to pay for it yourself. Even though it is established, it's an established tradition, opposing the government, especially in the courts, should not be the preserve of the rich, of people who can afford the lawyers. Right. We have a tradition in this country of the state paying for these challenges because, let's face it, it is a democracy, isn't it, Aaron?
It was,
It was, and yet here we are. Here we are with Jean-François Roberge, essentially extending this even further. And I love it will give the municipalities, they have special permission. If they want to allow praying in the streets, we'll let them do it. But until then, I got news for you. It is right now illegal to block traffic by praying in the streets, to block traffic by playing the tuba. It is against the law to block traffic in the streets. So the idea that, no, this is a whole, especially in Notre Dame, which was a very clear protest that was going on. It was a deliberately provocative protest, and it seems that it worked. But now the idea that all the people who were calling the show every day, Aaron, say, you know what, I couldn't get to work because of all those people praying in the streets. Well, you know, we'll have to find something else to talk about, apparently, because that's going to be illegal. It is the land of Oz. It is a fantasy land that is created. It was originally created for the uninformed, the ignorant, the frightened, living out in the regions who knew nothing about Quebec in 2025. But now I think these laws are being passed more for a caucus, a CAC caucus, which is genuinely terrified that it will no longer exist after October of 2026. And this is where I think we're headed. Excuse me, and get used to it, Aaron. I think we're going to see even more outrageous legislation passed between now and then.
You know, we often talk, Jim, about this idea of playing to your base. Yeah, so we understand that, the whole thing about secularism. I mean, you'd think, though, that argument has been won for the base. So is the thinking here politically, you think that let's introduce this, makes things even more tougher, and we'll get those people we lost back?
Well, maybe, but I got to tell you, and this is where this poll that I'm referring to, because I know I heard you talking on Maya Johnson about this Palace poll, and they're spinning the poll. It's an actuality. They're spinning the poll that it's bad news for Pablo Rodriguez and the Liberals. You know what? It's not good news, but it's regular news. Support is concentrated on the west side of Montreal, and francophones are turning their backs on the Quebec Liberal Party. They have the PQ have 44% among francophones. The Liberals have 15%. But this is the thing, and we've discussed these figures before, Aaron. But in this particular instance, in this particular poll, we discovered that the CAC, the Liberals have 50, the CAC have 14% support among francophone voters. And let's forget about the Montreal area, the Greater Montreal area, because that's going to be a fight between the PACs at 28% and the Liberals at 34%. And the Quebec City area, it's a fight between the PQ and the Quebec Conservatives. PQ is polling 39%, Quebec Conservatives 27%. And that's kind of that's not entirely surprising either, because up in Quebec City, there's been that was usually the base for Alexandrian support. But man, oh man, le reste du Québec, les régions, okay, that was the old casino table that the CAC used to run. The PACs are polling 48%, and the Liberals are polling 11%. The CAC are polling 10% compared to, wait for it, 20% for the Conservatives. Wow. And that's here and that's now. And Eric Duhaime hasn't even begun campaigning yet. I think he's probably very wisely sitting back and watching the CAC kind of keep banging its head against the wall, trying to get out of the straitjacket that it sewed itself into, and watching the Liberals self-immolate. So you know what? These numbers I find are very, very intriguing. I'd be interested to see if they're backed up by Léger as well. But it seems that much in the same way in 2018, that third option, let's get the CAC because we're tired of that stupid paradigm, that federalist, separatist paradigm. Well, wouldn't it be fascinating, Aaron, if there was perhaps a fourth wave coming up where we see, we're still fed up with the separatism and the federalism, but we're really fed up with the CAC that doesn't seem to be able to do anything right. And maybe, or could it be that Quebec voters are taking a look at the Conservatives, and can the Conservatives build on that? That, I think, would be a perfect curveball to this entire story, because let's face it, all the time you and I are spending talking about how the so-called mainstream parties are shooting themselves in the foot on a regular basis. Sure, it's great. It gives you and me something to talk about every day. But the fact is, it looks as if the fallout, that support, that lost support, may be falling into the Quebec Conservative.
Imagine that.
And
man, wow.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what a hoot that's going to be next October, if we actually have a Conservative party? I'm not saying government, but that has a shot of being a player in the next election. Nobody saw that coming. But to be fair to everybody and us, Aaron, nobody saw any of this coming. Even the stuff that's been going on the last month, it fell out of a ceiling tile, and it keeps falling. And I got to tell you, I was going to avoid talking about this, but very briefly, because they always do this 5 minutes before I come on. TVA apparently canvassed the caucus. There's mutterings in the caucus again. It looks like there might be another mutiny brewing over the leadership of Pablo Rodriguez, because ça va pas la shop, and with the CAC, with the UPAC investigation, some people, I think, are getting very, very antsy.
Well. All right. We shall see what, like, hey, every day brings a different story. I mean, I haven't heard anything today, but we'll have to wait and see. Jim, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.